A very warm welcome to you. This is Galaxy TV News. Here are top stories. Federal Executive Council approves the reduction of examination fees for entry into Nigerian secondary and tertiary institutions. Meanwhile, thousands of Akwa Ibom women stormed the State House of Assembly to protest the recent siege on the complex by the police. Moving outside Nigeria, Russia's Putin accuses Ukraine leader of orchestrating naval provocation to boost ratings. And in sports, head coach of the Super Falcons of Nigeria, Thomas Dennerby, targets successful AFCON title defense against South Africa. Many thanks for joining us. I am Rita Omodia. On our first story, the Federal Executive Council has approved the reduction of examination fees for entry into Nigerian secondary and tertiary institutions. The decision formed part of decisions taken at Wednesday's council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Minister of Education Adamu Adamu told State House correspondents after the meeting that the new fees, which will take effect from January next year, includes 3,000 naira for the universal tertiary and matriculation examination, 9,800 naira only for the West African School Certificate examination, and 4,000 naira for the Junior Secondary School Certificate examination. At the meeting, ministers and federal political appointees presented their memos for consideration. Among such was a request by the Ministry of Education for reduced charges on the various categories of examination, which the Minister of Education, Adamu Adamu, said was to elevate the sufferings of parents.
Since the new administration went into office and then a change in management with prudence by the current management of JAMB, we are able to see that most of what is being charged actually doesn't have to be, because a lot of it is being siphoned by corrupt officials.
11 ecological intervention projects across several states of the Federation were also approved at the sum of 9.6 billion naira and 267 million naira for the construction of 3 incinerators for environmental friendly destruction of substandard drugs by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC.
These 11 ecological intervention projects are spread out this way. 1. Jetty and shoreline protection facilities in Lagos. 2. Flood and erosion control in Oyo Town, in Oyo State. 3. Erosion control of flooded areas / road improvement in Owo, Ondo State. 4. Erosion control of flooded areas in Akankwa local government area of Cross River State.
Council also approved the production of ECOWAS biometric identity cards to replace the region's existing travel certificate in response to the decision taken by the regional body in 2012. The contractor finance project, which would run for 10 years, is estimated to cost 14.7 billion naira, according to the Minister of Interior, General Abdulrahman Daud-Muzal.
This is in response to the decision of ECOWAS heads of states and governments, sometimes in 2014, to replace the current ECOWAS travel certificate, which was meant to start in January 2016.
For the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing, the sum of 813.4 million naira was also approved for the rehabilitation of broken down bridges in the northeast during the heat of the Boko Haram insurgency, and another 3.4 billion to furnish federal secretariats in Anambra, Zamfara, and Bayelsa states. In the meantime, thousands of Akwa Ibom women have stormed the State House of Assembly to protest the recent siege on the complex by the police. Dressed in black, the women, who were led by the Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Women Affairs, assembled at the entrance to the State House Assembly complex, armed with fresh leaves and placards bearing various inscriptions, accusing the police of complicity and calling for the removal of the Commissioner of Police.
State for the past few months, and as women, as mothers, we came to tell the world enough is enough. Yesterday something happened. The Commissioner of Police led other security agencies, the policemen, and also to come to House of Assembly, Akwa Ibom State, to encourage people to take laws into their hands.
Also, some of the protesters expressed displeasure over recent crisis in the State House of Assembly that has created tension and called for concerned authorities to restore peace in the state.
Akwa Ibom State has stood out as a model of peace, and few moments ago, for example yesterday, what happened in Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly is not what we should take lying low.
A aged person like me, I don't want to lose my children. I don't want to lose my grandchildren because they are all grown up. We need peace in Akwa Ibom. PDP has reigned in Akwa Ibom for years, and there is no havoc, no problem. We are surprised to hear that people from nowhere penetrate into the House of Assembly to cause problems.
Addressing the demonstrators, the Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Onefiok Luke, called on police officers to express their grievances without any fear or favor, in line with the laws of the land. Now, worried by the acute shortage of brain drain in Nigeria, psychiatrists in Nigeria are calling for better incentives in order not to lose them to developed countries. This is just as the psychiatrists are lamenting the increasing rate of mental health illness. These issues were brought to the fore at the 49th Annual General Meeting and Scientific Meeting of the Association of Psychiatrists in Nigeria. Justin Akadoye brings us the details.
Today, mental health services in Nigeria are hardly accessible outside state capitals, with a ratio of 1 psychiatrist to 3.3 million persons. More so, qualified psychiatrists remain unemployed, while quite a proportion are leaving the country. Guest lecturer at the meeting, Professor Akin Oshibogo, and the local organizing committee chairman, Dr. Raphael Obolu, give more perspective.
We need to provide incentives for them to train in psychiatry, and then we need to provide incentive to retain them in psychiatry, because the acute shortage of psychiatrists is global. There's a shortage in the United Kingdom, there's a shortage in the United States, and these other countries are paying better.
Quackery will thrive, because when you now don't have the qualified personnel to treat the mental disorders in society, what happens? You create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. People will fill in that vacuum. So you have all sorts of people claiming or offering some form of mental health service, and that's dangerous.
For the Lagos state government, it is concerned about the number of suicide attempts recorded in recent times, promising that the mental health law in the state will take care of some of these issues.
Part of that strategy, of course, has also required us to establish the availability of mental health service at the secondary care centers. This, of course, has been strategized into districts based on the availability of the specialists that we have at the moment. But we know that this is just a first step. Supply side is important. Creating demand is also important.
Other professionals speak to newsmen on the dangers of substance abuse, the need to pass the mental health bill into law, managing technology to avert stress, and general issues facing the advancement of psychiatry in Nigeria.
We have to be proactive. How do we identify people who are stressed? How do we start saying at every point of contact, even those doctors who are not psychiatrists, they have a sort of checklist. If you see, that you sort of ask questions, you tick it off. These are potential people we need to counsel. We don't need to wait till they can no longer cope.
It's a bill that protects the rights of the mentally ill, protects the caregiver, establishes the nature of treatment you can offer to the mentally ill, and also define who is responsible for funding, for treatment, for all the intervention you need for mental health care in Nigeria.
These experts say untreated or poorly treated disorders may have an effect on the suicide rates in the country. However, it is hoped that early career support and guidance and the encouragement of mentorship can help ameliorate the challenge of brain drain. Justin Akadonye, Galaxy News, Lagos.
Still on health matters. To improve the outcome of children with asthma in Nigeria and Africa in general, the Lagos State University College of Medicine has launched the Achieving Asthma Control in African Children Acacia study. The Acacia is an international study taking place in 6 other countries, including Nigeria, and funded by the National Institute of the Health Insurance Grant. Consultant respiratory physician LASUCOM, Dr. Lufunke Adeyeye, says the study will help detect asthma in school children between 12 and 16 years, adding that schools need to be equipped to support asthmatic children. The 3-year study will entail collection of data with a view to identifying the problems to certain reasons why control is not being achieved.
And then while we're doing this study too, we will be finding out how well these children are controlled. That's how well they are made to feel fine all the time. And they want to know what they're using. We're going to be checking them to know how well they are faring in the asthma control, and then find out whether they are not even diagnosed at all, or they are not even taking any medication. If they are taking medications, what medication are they taking? And then we're likely looking at why are they having problems with their control? Why? So we're looking at things in the schools, things in the home, things in the environment. So those are the things that we're going to be doing.
Other speakers at the event say with proper diagnosis and awareness, children with asthma can live a well-fulfilled life. They were also quick to advise an asthmatic patients not to feel stigmatized, but open to professionals.
Intervention of an area of, ailment that needs to be, researched into. What is the cause of asthma? Are people aware of this ailment? When they have it, how can it be managed? Those who have it, how should people be reacting or responding to them? How should they, even the carrier of the ailment?
There has to be a lot of education on this research because everything is all about awareness. What you don't know, if you lack knowledge, it's difficult to intervene. So I really want to enjoin the researchers to go out and educate our children, educate parents all over Nigeria, not just in Lagos, where this research is based, about what are the causes of asthma, what can trigger asthma, how can it be controlled, what is the role of the parents in controlling the disease.
It is better to come out. There is no stigma in this form. It is better to open up to the professionals so that they can get the needed help on time. Sure, you understand? Because when they get to know it and doing the right thing at the right time, we really help the students. We really help either the students or the children.
Still ahead, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike charges broadcasters on credible polls. Details of this and other stories when Galaxy News returns. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Galaxy TV News. For more updates and latest news, visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at @OfficialGalaxyTV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your life updates and comments. Still on the news, the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has called on broadcasters to ensure that the votes of Nigerians count in 2019. Governor Wike made the call at the Government House, Port Harcourt, during a courtesy visit by the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON. He said BON must strive to hold the federal government accountable on issues of credible elections.
The electoral process, as related to 2019, you have a role to play. So we should not do things in such a way that you look at it as a personal thing. No. And the role you have to play is to make sure that the votes count. And that you have to do.
Earlier, Chairman of BON, John Momoh, commended the governor for his outstanding project delivery, urging him to continue to work on the path of development. Momoh explained the organization is in the state for the annual general meeting, which will focus on broadcasting in a challenging media environment.
We're here in Port Harcourt to hold our annual general meeting, which is our General Assembly. And we'll be looking specifically at the broadcasting in a changing media landscape because the industry is changing.
In another development, Nigerian youths have been tasked to take advantage of the numerous opportunities that abound in the creative sector. This was made known during an art exhibition organized by the Anambra State government through the Ministry of Youth Empowerment and Creative Economy in collaboration with the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, Indigenous Artworks, Culture and Tourism. Speaking at the exhibition, the Commissioner for Youth Empowerment and Creative Economy, Bonaventure Namali, said sculpturing is a branch of art that only few artists dare to venture into due to the stress and complexity associated with it. In his remarks, the Commissioner for Environment, Architect Mike Okonkwo, said his ministry will be collaborating with the Ministry of Youth Empowerment and Creative Economy to source and unearth local artists who will be engaged by the state government in beautifying and improving the aesthetics of the state.
What His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Chief Willie Obiano, did is to say that they need to bring out more sculptors, encourage them by empowering them in cash award through exhibitions.
His Excellency is the Governor of the Youths. We pledge, in fact, His Excellency knows that we always had it in our plan to engage the youths, especially the up and coming artists, to partner with us in actually beautifying the environment.
Moving on, African leaders have been charged to do more to squarely address the challenges of poor leadership, hunger and insecurity if the continent must attain its pride of place as a land of opportunities. This was the charge of the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, and the former Italian Prime Minister, Romano Prodi, at the tribute to the late Secretary General of the United States, Kofi Annan, in Abeokuta, the state capital. Speaking at the launch of the Africa Progress Group as part of the occasion, a former Italian Prime Minister, Romano Prodi, advocated good governance and transparency as prerequisite for real development of the African continent.
But this is another challenge because scientific development of Africa cannot be the same that other continents have. And I think that Progress Group must be concentrated on this speciality of Africa. Clearly, development is not economics, but politics.
In his own address at the formal inauguration of the group, Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, laid emphasis on education, health, food and insecurity, which he said must be addressed squarely.
It is not easy to do so for such a committed humanitarian who did not just talk about peace building, but lived his life building peace and trying to make the world more wholesome. I have always known Kofi Annan to execute his duties with panache and grace, and he addressed the most complicated international crisis.
Straight now to Ekiti, where the state government has put in place measures to ensure gender equality is entrenched in indigence. Governor Kayode Fayemi listed excellent laws of the state which are aimed at mainstreaming the potentials of women in governance. The Ekiti State Governor, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs, Peju Babafemi, made this known during a presentation of a keynote address. Meanwhile, the chairperson of Lagos NLC Women Committee, Olubunmi Aroudoye, explained the objectives of the gathering.
The administration of Governor Kayode Fayemi recognizes gender equality as a strategy and prerequisite for achieving developmental goals. Hence, the state has Ekiti State Gender Development Policy 2011, which the governor put in place in his first term.
It gives me great pleasure to see my great women of Nigeria Labour Congress, Lagos State, and their counterparts in Ekiti State taking steps to mobilize and enhance the awareness of women workers. Hopefully, this will help to facilitate the productivities of individuals and ease the possibility of achieving the much desired change in the society.
Away from that, let's join Oyinyechi Ogu for the sport news.
In the world of sport, head coach of the Super Falcons of Nigeria, Thomas Denaby, has revealed that after accomplishing their first target of a ticket to the FIFA World Cup, Nigeria's next target is to retain the Women's AFCON title by beating South Africa in Accra on Saturday. The Swedish tactician was on his feet for most of the time in the semi-final against the indomitable Lioness of Cameroon in Accra on Tuesday, which exhausted the statutory regulation and extra time and then went into penalty shootout before the cup holders inched past their bitter rivals into the final and a place in France. The Super Falcons will take on the Banyana of South Africa in the final of the 11th Women African Cup of Nations at Accra Sports Stadium on Saturday.
But of course, now it's time for rest, 2 days or 3 days. It's good to have one extra day now before the final, because it was a really tough game today, and there are a lot of players that are really tired. And as you can see, there were 3 or 4 of them that have cramp in the extra time and so on. So now it's really time for recover. But we have good options to beat anyone.
News from the international scene is up next.
On the international scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has accused Ukraine's leader Petro Poroshenko of trying to boost his ratings ahead of 2019 elections with a naval confrontation off Crimea. Russian FSB border guards opened fire on 2 Ukrainian gunboats and a tug before seizing the Ukrainian crews. Mr. Putin told an investment forum on Wednesday that Poroshenko had to do something to make the situation more intense. Mr. Poroshenko has declared martial law for 30 days in response to the crisis. The decision, backed by parliament, affects 10 Ukrainian border regions, and the Ukrainian leader made clear in a TV interview that the country was under threat of full-scale war with Russia. The peninsula was seized from Ukraine in 2014 and annexed by Russia shortly afterwards. The 3 boats were sailing from Odessa to Mariupol, a major Ukrainian port of the Azov Sea, when they were confronted by 4 FSB vessels. Both countries agreed to share the sea in a 2003 treaty, but Russia's decision to open a bridge across the Kerch Strait this year exacerbated tensions. Ukraine says Russia is deliberately blockading Mariupol and another port, preventing ships from getting through the Kerch Strait.
And that's Galaxy TV News at this time. Do join us again at 10 for our flagship bulletin. I am Rita Omodia. Many thanks for staying tuned.